Welcome to our meditation session. Tonight's theme is going to be looking at how you can be more awesome. So, as we're making our way into the temple, just want you to, deep down inside, we all feel like we have more potential, that there's the possibility of greater happiness, greater peace, better relationships, more health, more fitness, more joy. I want you to not just open up some space for that, but get excited that tonight's session is going to let you tap into that. It's going to help you practice being your best. It's going to empower you as best as we can. So there's space in the temple for more. It's great to have you guys here. If you're out there wondering if you should jump into VR, please jump in. We'd love to have you here. And let's just begin by setting our intention. As I was just saying, this session is for you to tap in to your potential, for you to connect with that part of you that is vibrant and happy and fit and awesome. And not just connect to it, but to rehearse it, to role play it, to method act your best self, to brain program yourself with your best behaviors, the positive feelings you'd like to be, the positive attitudes you'd like to have. Let's just take a deep breath and feel that in whichever way feels good for you. Welcome. We've just set our intention that today's session is about you being your most awesome self, to be your best, to spend some time making space for that best part of you, to give your creativity a chance for that best part of you to express itself. We're going to meditate to let ourselves feel that more, to experience that more. And I hope our discussions will help you retrain yourself to be happier, more confident, more awesome in whatever way that you want to be. All right, and to those of you out on the live stream, good to have you here as well. Aku, welcome. It's great to have you here. I run these Monday night sessions, and I try to make them practical and powerful. In some meditation classes, they'll talk about some impact that might take lifetimes, or they'll want you to believe something about the universe. I don't do any of that here. I want to teach you skills that you'll notice the results in minutes or days or weeks. And I want to inspire you that your best life is a bigger part of how you think and feel every day. I want to teach you some skills that are beautiful for you, like the skills that massively transformed me and inspired me to do this. And these sessions are for you, for each of you. So put on your I'm making the most of this hat, and any questions you want to ask, any way you want to question or push back or dig into the details or figure out how you'd apply something I said to something going on in your life, please do. This session is meant to be applied and awesome. So it's great to have you all here. And Sonia's out there on the live stream and says, hi everyone and happy meditating. It's great to have you with us. And someone else out there on the live stream too. I see you and I'm glad you're here. All right. And so with that intro, I just want to start with a little story or a little exploration. The person who first created this world, I was talking to him about how we approach training our own mind, and he was saying he's a more spiritual kind of guy. He was saying, "Hey, if it's not just about the Buddha, then it's not really going to work." And me, I've been in many different movements, different religions, different self-development philosophies, and I've seen people having great results and not good results or even negative results in all of those movements. So I was trying to find the strength in what he was saying without necessarily believing in what he was saying. And recently I was meditating with a coach, and he asked us some questions that would get me to imagine my best result, my best outcome. And I remembered the times in my life where I felt connected with my higher self, or something bigger than me, some purpose, some vision for the world. And while I was in that space, I had so much more energy and excitement and happiness than when I'm not. And so I wanted to make tonight's theme around that. Like some people, they get their emotions and feelings as a reaction from what's around them. Some people get their emotions and feelings and attitudes by reading intentionally positive things, or maybe reading just whatever random stuff's around them. And some people might believe that your higher self or some connection to the infinite is a real thing. I don't know if I believe that. Maybe it's actually just a mental construction. But tonight's theme is around that. Connecting with the most amazing part of all of us. Your purpose, your mission in the universe. Saying these things, one part of me feels like they're all contrived, like it's stuff that people have made up. But even if you're all thinking about it like that, I want you to consider the people who are believing they're connected to the infinite. It feels amazing. It gives them this drive and this power. And if you do believe in this kind of thing, I want you to be just imagining that you're completely connected to your inner strength, your purpose. Or perhaps you could be asking it to guide you, to guide how you listen, to guide how you'll meditate, to guide, let your most awesome self guide the feelings that you're going to generate now. So we're going to start with an opening meditation in just a moment. I see a couple more people join the world. So once they've come into the temple, we're going to dive into our opening meditation. Vice, welcome back. Long time no see. It's so good to have you here. I was just saying tonight's theme is going to be about connecting to your inner purpose, being inspired, uplifted by your connection with everything, by your mission, by your drive. And before I was mentioning that idea of connecting with your inner self, I was saying how Zenke, who started this world, he was saying to me that when we meditate, if you're training your own mind, you're training your own feelings. If you're doing it from your own thought patterns and you're like, oh, I want to feel less shy in social situations, it's not going to be great. You'll hopefully be less shy. But maybe you're just meditating on shyness and maybe it won't even work. So to really be able to impact ourselves awesomely and positively, we want to be training ourselves with awesome, training ourselves with great feelings. And so often that means stepping out completely of where all your thoughts and attitudes were and trying to imagine the best possible thoughts and feelings. And some people find that they don't believe they can do it. But if they believe in some higher power or the infinite potential of their subconscious, if they imagine that part of themselves, or maybe they don't even think it's themselves, maybe they just imagine that and they're like, oh yeah, I'm awesome. Yes, I feel the power. So I actually see all these practices as just different ways of moving your attention around. And I hope that every one of you can get to the point where you believe you can imagine anything, you can feel anything. But it's still a nice, useful tool to imagine what would the infinite imagine for you. If all the consciousness of the entire universe was to put its attention on you for a moment and put all its creativity and love and support into you, what kind of awesomeness would it channel into you? What kind of amazing you would you become? So I hope I've opened the door for the most skeptical people here to be able to envisage some way of training yourself awesomely, and also open the door for the most spiritual people here to imagine the infinite goodness transforming them miraculously and every part of you coming into alignment with the way you're meant to be. That's my intention for today. So, someone else on the live stream, a few more people here in the temple. Great to have you all here. We're going to start our opening meditation now. So I invite everybody to get comfortable. If you haven't meditated before, you can think of this kind of meditation kind of like listening to a story, crossed with a little bit of a daydream, and just want you to relax your body, sit back into the seat, or if you're sitting up, sit up nice and tall, or if you're standing, let your posture relax. And everybody take a deep breath. Maybe you notice how your body feels right now, or you notice your feelings or your mind. And imagine, hey, I'm just going to give myself a little vacation. What would it be like to just let everything relax? My body relaxes. How good would it feel to just completely let go of any feelings, anything else that's been going on, and just step into pure peace? I let all my thoughts rest, giving myself some time to connect with all that is good, all that is easy, all that is powerful. Take some deeper breaths, and as you flow in and out with each breath, let each breath soothe you more, letting your body and mind settle into meditation. letting go of everything else, just being right here, right now. You're making space, letting everything else go, making space for the parts of you that are happy, parts of you that have clarity, the parts of you that feel strong, confident. You're making space for the parts of you that are more awesome than I could ever put into words. Maybe you can feel those awesome parts of you, awesome attitudes, awesome ideas, awesome feelings. Maybe you can feel them growing and being more present. Just noticing your state of mind right now, your thoughts, your feelings, your body. And imagine if you just let all that go, you're making space for something more awesome. Hold your attention on that idea of just letting it all go, making space for something more awesome. Now I'm calling out to the part of you that is more amazing than you ever knew before. The universe created you, calling out to that part of you that is the way the universe meant for you to be. Before anything in society or anything anyone said ever got in the way, your most pure, happy, loving, kind, awesome part of you. Every bit of goodness you've ever been exposed to, every bit of wisdom, every inspiring role model, calling on that part of you that has learned everything wonderful that you've ever experienced. that part of you that has infinite energy, enthusiasm, love, patience, kindness, joy, and purpose. As you give that part of you the attention that it deserves, as you let that part of you guide your thoughts and feelings and attention, let yourself feel how good that part of you feels. Or if you know it would be amazing and you're not quite tapping into it, just let yourself imagine what it might be like. Feel everyone in the room opening up to their most wonderful self. Feel us all finding our own joy and bliss, enthusiasm and focus and power. If you ask that part of yourself, you can ask it whatever you want. You could ask it, how would you guide this meditation? Or what feelings are important for me to practice? Or what changes do you know would be beautiful for me? Or how do I help you guide my every moment? Or you just ask it whatever you like. Just meditate and feel the answer. Listen to the answer. If your mind's thinking of some metaphors, just step past the metaphors. Make it real. What kinds of actual feelings? What kind of actual habits training yourself right now, transforming yourself right now. How are you actually going to feel in each moment? How are you actually going to think and plan and live your life when guided by this most awesome part of you? Actually, even though I've said the most awesome part, let's do something to let your consciousness be able to envisage something even better. What if you were asking the infinite, all the intelligence of the entire universe, all the love and goodness of the entire universe? You're looking into it like it's an infinitely bright light of pure goodness. You look into that and just merge into that. Feel it, hear it, listen to it. Let yourself experience how you are meant to be. And now, wherever you are meditating, whatever positive feelings you are practicing, whatever ideas were flowing through your thoughts and feelings, try to imagine if you would remember that whenever it was necessary. Maybe you're feeling how you are supposed to be all the time. So now you could practice just constantly stepping back into that. Maybe you were experiencing some change in some part of your life. You could see how you could step into this mindset, into this way of being, whenever you approach that part of your life. Letting yourself make real what you just experienced. Train it into how you operate. For example, I was setting up my day with an amazing plan of exercise, meditation, creating even better goals and achieving even better things. And I coming from a place of awesomeness. And so seeing that each morning as I start my day, I will reconnect to this feeling, reconnect to this mindset, and let that guide how I live my day. I just invite you to do a similar kind of thing for whatever you saw in the meditation. And as we start to come from the meditation, I invite you to imagine if this mindset this best part of you, this best version of you, if you stayed in that, what it would be like to engage in this discussion when you are being your most enlightened self, when you are feeling awesome and clear and rational and compassionate, inspired, whatever it was you're experiencing. Imagine bringing that into this session, staying in that, practicing you being your best self. In the moment when I ask everyone to share, imagine your best self sharing. What you experience is not just a gift for you, it's a gift you can give to others. Including those of you out on the live stream, I'd love to hear how the meditation was for you. So we're going to start with just sharing positive. So if you're still in the meditation, you can still just stay in that blissful, beautiful state of consciousness and just enjoy the goodness that everyone has to share. And after a little while, we might have more questions or how to bring this state into some of the trickier things in life. But let's start by just sharing how good it felt, or insights you had, or nice experiences you had. Whenever you feel ready to share, everybody would love to hear it. I'm going to start. So I was particularly moved when I took us from that idea of, oh, your best self. Let's try to tap into something even more amazing. And I said, imagine all the goodness of the universe, the force that powers everything in creation, all of intelligence, all of kindness and goodness. Imagine this infinite bright light. And I imagined it, and I floated up into it and merged with it. And it felt so good, so right, and so easeful. That's what inspired me to want to practice that I start each day by getting into that place, that way of being. Sonia, how was the meditation for you?
Tapping into
Archelius?
sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that tapping into the goodness of all the universe is a little past my own personal emotional comprehension. But I don't know, I feel like everyone can relate to those days where it just feels like everything went perfectly, or felt like you handled it perfectly even if it didn't go exactly perfectly, right? And you feel like you just know exactly how and where and why everything should, would, or could happen. Just like walking down the street, you can take a whiff of the breeze and see the leaves, and you feel like everything is perfect, right? So that's a mindset I'm more capable of tapping into. But to be able to just relate to that without having to re-experience it, because it is quite a very once in a while sort of deal. It's very liberating. Is the whole feeling there, a freedom that you can do whatever it is you are and be accepting of that and help others to experience the same thing.
Nice. I love that you just pointed out that when you're just waiting for it to happen, it's every now and then. But here in meditation, you're able to tap into it again. And I hope that if you meditate on that every day, you like tap into that every day. Yeah. Thank you so much. Mm.
Yeah, what he was saying really resonates really well with me too, in terms of life satisfaction and how you have a greater sense of well-being, and also like resilience. Like you find that despite all the adversities you might be facing, that having a deeper sense of your person, you can take more and rebound faster.
My own personal hope with these is to try and to apply those proactively before anything happens, right here, there, and everywhere in any given situation, so that I can have the right mindset to deal with it the best way possible, right? Because at the end of the day, uh, how you see life and how life treats you is all entirely based on how you react to it. Uh, a lot of people will get hooked on the news and whatnot and go, oh, the whole world is doom and gloom. But at the end of the day, if you just react and say, well, that could be the case, but at the very least, I can try and do my best to keep going through it all and making the best out of it that I can, then you'll be satisfied, you can be happy, and that's all anyone can ask for you. And if everyone sees that and can replicate it, then all the more power.
Mm. Um, I looked at a graph this week of the amount of crime and war and bad stuff in the world um, over the centuries, and it went down to recently, like year by year, and it just was dropping and dropping. And right now, the world is safer and um, less crime than ever before. And like you were saying, if people get caught up in the news rather than the actual experience of the people around them, not to say there aren't little, sometimes big flare ups where things can be horrible, but overall, the world is just better and better all the time. And yeah, thank you for reminding us of that. Kind of makes me want to stop reading the news and start creating the news. Just making such awesomeness that other people want to talk about it. Also, you mentioned that your purpose in meditation or self cultivation is that you have this mindset proactively. Now, I've seen some people meditate into infinite bliss and then they come back into life and they've still got their old habits kicking in. And the hope of that practice is just you hope that the good stuff kind of just trickles down into your real life. And I have found that if we actively rehearse it into our life, instead of waiting for it to trickle down, you get to practice it. So you had this beautiful remembrance in the meditation. And from what I've seen is if while you're tapped into that, while your mind's in that state, if you imagine, hey, tomorrow I'm going to live with this state of mind. This is the things I'm going to do. Maybe I'll have some meditation or positive thing in the start to set my day. This is how I'm going to talk. This is how I'm going to feel. Like you rehearse actually making it real, then that actually translates that transformation into you. Like actively being uh, the trainer of your own body, mind, and emotions. And it's interesting because sometimes to get into these amazing states, you kind of have to forget about everything. But then when you're there in that beautiful state, then making it real and training it into yourself is very powerful. So Sonia said that yes, the reactionary mode is not good. We need to train ourselves to pause and be patient. That makes me want to ask the question, what would I be like if I had perfect patience? What are some scenarios where my patience could have been better or more beautiful? What would that feel like? What if patience and pausing to connect with my best self, that's just naturally how I responded? Or if that seems too far out, what would it be like if I just was drawn to remind myself, stop and patience, and make that patience and presence grow and feel it? How good would it feel if some scenario where you were not patient in the past, next time you responded elegantly, calmly, skillfully? How good would that be for you and for the other people involved? Thank you, Sonia. Can someone else share? Diru, your turn.
Part of the voice sounds a little off again, but I was thinking about what you saying with imagining. You often bring up imagining your best self. Also, is my voice coming enough that you can understand me?
It's a little scratchy, but yes, we can understand.
Okay, well, I'll try to speak clearly as I can with this microphone then. But I've heard of hypnotists who say that you can, like, Dr. Milton Erickson was a famous hypnotist in America. You would tell a patient sometimes, even if you don't think you're going into a trance, imagine what it would be like to be in a trance. Imagine what it would be like to be in a wonderful state. This was a man who was able to help a lot of people. He was able to cure himself of paralysis technique, or I should say techniques. And it's sort of what I think about because I suffer from severe focusing problems. And I'm always worried I'm not going to be good enough at meditation. But eventually, what I'm just trying to put myself in that state, I can start to feel more peace. And the mind slowly starts to calm down because my mind starts like my mind is vibrating up and down. It's really crazy. But it eventually just calms down. And it's challenging. It's really hard for me. But I can see the benefits. I can experience that change. And I'm thinking maybe I just need to imagine more, okay, well, what it would be like if I was my perfect self. If that focus was exactly where I wanted it. And I just really like the idea. That's all I can say right now. I've had some peace while meditating just now. And it seems to be working, so I'm gonna keep trying. That's
Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm honored that I reminded you of Erickson. Uh, And I think that phrasing of imagine what it would be like, I think I learned that from hypnosis, though probably why it reminded you of it. Um, and
Oh wow, that is so cool.
um, I really like to think that whatever we can do to learn how to guide our attention is awesome. And I love that you said that you felt some peace and you're finding ways to get your attention to do things. You're finding ways. One thing that you reminded me of is you were saying, well, what would it be like? And I like to think that that sets up your imagination, or it sets up your brain to be able to imagine what it'd be like. And then once you've got, maybe it's a really clear idea, or maybe it's just a vague idea, but once you've got some idea of what it feels like, or some idea of what your attention's like, then you can start, like your subconscious starts training itself to do that. You know, if you're always thinking my focus is everywhere, and then someone says focus, you're like, whatever. But if you can imagine this is what focus would be like, it gives you a chance to step into it, and it gives you a chance to train it and learn it. And you mentioned some things you haven't been so good at, and I hope that at some point soon you forget about that, because you've trained yourself to be able to concentrate, trained yourself to be able to go into peace. And there's no question of are you good enough or not at it. It's like, I love doing it, and I'm getting better all the time, and I just love and appreciate how I do it.
It sort of reminds me of, isn't there a saying that goes, energy goes where attention flows, or is it attention goes where energy flows? How does that work?
So I know the saying. I don't really know particularly what they mean by energy flowing. I mean, I know how some people think of it. I'm not sure if I believe in that way of thinking about the mind, but definitely the brain trains itself by what it puts its attention onto, and your emotion and your feelings and your mindset follows what you train. So yeah, absolutely. In the meditation today, I said, well, imagine something even bigger. I want you to tap into the best version of you. But if you're limited by the best version of you, or what if you imagine the infinite of the universe? Archelius said that was too far out to relate to emotionally. But yeah, I guess I was just trying to open up, like, you know, if whoop, what just happened? Just trying to open up that you are more amazing than you normally let yourself believe. You are more amazing than you normally let yourself think and feel. And if you were able to imagine something beautiful, whether it was just being perfectly in the zone or something else, like, you did that. I gave you a couple of words and then you did something amazing with it. So yeah, if some metaphor about the infinite energy flows into what you put your attention, if that helps you, I mean, ultimately I'd like you to know that you are amazing, and that you learn to guide your attention and your beliefs awesomely. So Archelius, you were saying, oh, can you imagine the infinite wisdom of all of existence? Maybe that doesn't even exist, but perhaps a question you could ask yourself, like, what would be the best version of you, which you were already doing, but what would be like the amazing version of you? Like if you had Gandhi and the world's greatest scientist and the world's greatest motivational coach walking around filling you with awesome all the time. If you were doing your best dreams and goals, what would you be like? I guess I'm just trying to make some space for you to imagine and feel and step into the best version of you.
Yeah. Well, the whole expansive universe and infinite energies and all that is a good point for those who can kind of grab onto it and run with it, which I'm certain I'll be able to do at some point. I just gotta kind of work my way into it. But for the time being, I do feel like that kind of naturally occurring Zen state that I had mentioned earlier is exactly that, where all the world's problems kind of subside, or they don't, but your reaction to them is as flawless as could be, calm, at peace, rational, emotional.
I
And
actually
then
think
just
that's
being able
better.
to apply that constantly.
If you were just being yourself realistically in every moment, that's better than being able to
Yeah.
imagine some bright light. If you were just being the most amazing you in every moment, that's the best. That's the whole goal, I think, for each of us to live as wonderfully as we can. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you
Well, I
are
think the main
in
thing.
that
Oh,
Zen
sorry.
state.
Yeah. I think the main thing that I'm trying to work through so I can achieve that almost subconsciously is the same way we can get into those Zen states and focus on just how great everything is, or just how at peace. I think satisfied is the word that best describes what I'd be feeling in those. Is like no matter what's happening, I could have spilled my coffee and just went, oh well, or I could have tripped on my way into work, or oh well, or I could have done something wrong, but I knew how to deal with it. So sure, we wasted a little bit of time, but everything was done safely, right, and properly. And then you go, okay, well, these things happen, but we dealt with it the best, most mature, adult, safest, whatever way you want to deal with it, or happiest, in, say, more personable experiences. The main ones I'm pulling from right now is like mainly work stuff, right? But I'm just pulling from earlier in the day more so. But what was it? What was something I was going with this?
Wanted to
Right,
jump.
being able to take the fixation, but like that fixation does happen naturally, but the same thing also happens naturally to the negative aspect of things. So being able to refocus yourself away from dwelling on the negative and just resetting yourself to a state of satisfaction, calmness, all that jazz.
Thank you so much. You said you're aiming to get it so that you're like that all the time. And Diru and I were just saying how, like where your attention goes, or what you allow yourself to envisage, is what you rehearse. So perhaps you're already doing this, and you said this is your goal, but maybe you would like to try saying, "I'm in that Zen state all the time." What would it be like if I was in that Zen state all the time? What would
Yeah, it'd be
my
pretty
day be?
fantastic.
Yeah, and more than just that sentence of an answer, let yourself feel it. Like, wow, this is what it would be like. And yeah, maybe I'd need to meditate every morning, but it'd be worth it. And let yourself envisage that you are always there, so then you can practice being that kind of person.
Well, one thing that did actually come up during my my meditation in my own mind, where I was thinking, all right, I got this goal. How do I get it right? And you pull from what you know, right? So okay, what got me into my best states of satisfaction? What made me feel as close to that as I could? And it was so simple. And the best solution to a problem is usually the easiest one. I decided that the best way to get that sense of satisfaction, what I wanted out of anything, is simply to apply myself. So in my meditation, I made sure to apply myself. I was making sure I didn't open my eyes for a second. I was keeping my back straight. I was watching my breathing. I was applying myself to it. When I Hey, take the headset off tonight. I'm going to apply myself and say what I want to do. Well, I got a bowl of noodles over there I didn't finish. I'm going to make sure to go clean it, you know? And just that sense of satisfaction after a job well done, even over the most simple things like making a plan. I'm going to go pick up my mail at this time and I'm going to get it. I'm going to deal with anything relates to it, and then I'm going to carry on with my day. Just being able to do that and carry it out is very simple, but it's the most common source of that sense of satisfaction if you can just live your way by applying yourself, you know? For example, my job, not gonna get into it too much, but the worst days are the ones where I have nothing to do, and the best days are the one where it was super busy and time flew right by. All the difference was I applying myself? That's just me.
Awesome. No, not just you. I think everyone needs to hear that. That was so grounded and effective and awesome. Thank you so much.
I like the simple things.
Beautiful. Good Mix, would you like to share? Or anyone else out there on the live stream?
Oh, I guess um I've always been kind of surprised at what a really great meditation sort of accomplishes. Like the stillness, and then there's like a moment where there's like serenity happens or something. It's almost like the self begins regulating or transforming or something. But just seeing how I operate after I finished meditating and just looking at it and going, like, it wasn't just compassion, it was like more thought. It was like I was actually there to to effectively to greatly manage a situation or make something happen or do something. You know, I got more chores done. I did my chores at a better degree. When I was talking to people, it's like I could have compassion with them. I was just there was because when I started meditating, I was just curious, like what potential, what possibilities are they? But then when I actually saw like what happens when you meditate and your mind sort of like that sort of happens or whatever, then I was like, whoa, like this is actually something I need to do because this is like what necessary for me to live the life that I want to live. And I always just kind of, I don't know, glad about that, I guess. But
That's great. I'm not sure what to say. That was just all awesome. Um, yeah, I wish everybody knew that training themselves or meditating was necessary to lead the life that we want to live. So, thank you. All right. Let's check out there on the live stream. It's good to have you guys here. Love to hear your thoughts. Hope you feel like you're here part of it with us. Let's check the time. All right, we've got time for a little more discussion, and then we'll have our closing meditation. Does anyone have a question? Diru?
Yes, I wanted to ask, do you have a special manual or a teacher or guru, like Kula Dasa or somebody where you get these wonderful techniques from? You seem really experienced.
Thanks, Diru. So I started doing this 25 years ago, and probably the two most formative books that I read were some of the first that I read about self-transformation. One was, I think, I don't actually remember the title, but I tried to find it out and look it up. I think it was Wherever You Go, There You Are by Jon Kabat-Zinn. And the other book that was kind of the lens through which I see everything, which I actually think everyone should read. This book was called The Official Guide to Success by Tom Hopkins, that really just hammered home the idea what you keep rehearsing is who you are. He wasn't doing any spiritual stuff. There was no meditation other than the practice saying what you want to say to yourself each day, and also practice how it feels, and also rehearse how you'd act like that, and also rehearse the attitudes. So just full, complete training. Pick how you want to be and train it. And acknowledge that all of your habits, all the things you believe about yourself, other stuff trained you to be like that. It's not who you really are. It's just how you were trained. So kind of like you can let go of all the current stuff you have about yourself and just be open to what I want to train to be. So I had these two books which were kind of really formative. I practiced those too, training myself, and the meditation book had mindfulness and compassion and a few other beautiful meditations. And then I had a decade or two when I went and tried to learn from everywhere. I tried to get my hands on any teachers that I could, whether it was meditation or hypnosis or positive psychology or business coaching. I had a time where I'd go to 10 different religious services a week of all different faiths, trying to just see the awesomeness that different cultures had to teach. Don't necessarily recommend that. I think I perhaps picked up more harm than good, but I had to deprogram myself from a lot of it. But yeah, but I haven't stayed for a long time with any particular teacher. I would always go in with the lens of like, what are the things this group believes? How do they tell it to themselves? And looking through that lens of like where the attention goes, the energy flows, which parts of their teaching are actually good and which bits are limiting or false, and trying to find just the bits that were good. That's the approach I took everywhere I went, trying to just learn just the parts that were good and separate them from the parts that are not. Sometimes they're really intertwined, some false belief with something amazing and beautiful. So just trying to find the most amazing, beautiful practices and beliefs I can from everywhere. That was the approach I took. And I'm glad that it comes across that. Actually, no, I need to say that I had a vision of a world where everyone was enlightened, where everybody was being their most amazing self, and we were all creating the best world possible. So everything I learned was coming through that lens. Like, how do we help people be their best possible self and support each other to be our best possible selves? If you're looking at things through that lens, I guess you find the best parts of whatever you're looking at.
So if I may add to that, then one could say you just role play what you really want to be. Another way of saying
Fake it
it,
till
right?
you make it.
Absolutely. There are some
I
people who
was
have
actually trying
issues
not
with...
to say fake it till you make
Exactly. Some people have issues with the fake it till you make it statement, and I have one little issue with it. Is because some people think about that sentence like you're acting on the outside a certain way, while on the inside you might still not be. Whereas I encourage people, like, imagine that you are completely that way. So fake it till you make it. You might go out and like act confident, but then internally you're like, oh, I'm so shy. Whereas I would encourage people, hey, internally, imagine that you're amazing, step into that place, and then go out and act from that place. But yeah, both a similar idea. Just then I was like a real stickler for accuracy in how I think about things and how I talk to myself. I think if you like that for yourself, the thoughts that you give attention to, and the beliefs that you allow yourself to have, if you're very careful about being accurate, it's much more effective.
Oh no, you're totally right about the connotation of the faking it thing. Speaking from personal experience there. Slippery slope to imposter syndrome, not self-diagnosing, just saying I know that. Maybe it wasn't the best
It's a
choice of words, but
good thing you're not on that
everyone's heard it.
slope anymore, because now you are amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty recent.
Welcome to the Club of Awesome. D-Roo?
What if I say one more thing on that? I noticed a while back I was trying to figure out how I could channel like a more skillful sort of meditational mindset. And at first I thought, well, that term equanimity sounds really great. What if I master being cool and neutral? But I tried that, and it was nice to do in, say, Second Life or some game with other people, but it didn't stick. But I found out when I practiced being boundless friendliness, the really compassionate. When I try role playing that, for example, it seems to work a lot better for me. I just find myself being a lot more cheerful, a lot more humorous, and it just seems to be easier to do everything. As a result, I'm not fighting with myself. But I just wanted to point that out there. That's where I was going with the roleplay bit, is sort of channeling being just a really friendly person.
Thank you so much for sharing that and for reminding me of it. I think the best time in my life was when that was my focus, to be the most social, friendly, positive fountain of awesome. It made me happier and more energetic and more easy than anything else. So thanks for reminding me of that, and thanks for sharing that with everyone. I like to think that it's good to practice many amazing qualities. If you can have infinite equanimity and have overflowing joy that lights up a room when you enter, and have solid, stable wisdom with each step, having both or having all of those so that you can draw on each one whenever it's needed, or you can mix and match and combine them. That's awesome. One thing I found really interesting looking at the world's collective knowledge of training is that some people treat a certain meditation as almost like sacred. Like there's a peace meditation that I learned, and for a long time I was like, oh, the lake meditation brings you the equanimity. But then there's compassion meditation. Somebody along the line made up kindness meditation, and now so many millions of people are like, compassion meditation is a thing. But we can mix and match them. You can have a meditation on patience for others. You can have a meditation where patience turns into infinite compassion, which turns into purpose and right speech, which turns into pure love and uplifting. And equanimity is just a word that someone made up. I was taught by a certain monk to think of an unshakable ocean of peace. That's what it means to me. It means other things to other people. So I like to think that people who are aware that we can train ourselves, we should all be being creative as to like beautiful states of mind that we can describe, or beautiful states of being that we can conceptualize, and be our own creative designers. And if we can capture that in a meme, if we can capture that in kindness meditation or a peace meditation or some saying where the energy goes, the attention flows, a fake it till you make it. If you can capture it in a way that's easy for people to pass, then the goodness that you create becomes a part of our culture that keeps multiplying and evolving. So as much as you can, meditating on your best self, and you found meditating on happiness, or no, meditating on kindness is beautiful. I would love you to just spread that idea to people every day, because the world would be such a more wonderful place if you did that. Actually, I want to. Can you remind us, like, where you got the idea from, or who described it for you? How you practice that?
Well, I've heard about the word channeling before with actually I'm not really sure where I got the term channeling from, multiple places, but I as a storyteller and sort of a game master, I get into a lot of characters, and it for me it started really is just choose what avatars I chose. Originally, I would choose like a very equanimous, sort of like a temple fox, forest shrine guardian type avatar creature, and that was nice for being calm. But when it came to once I left that world and went back into the real world, I couldn't carry it with me for some reason. But when I choose an avatar that makes me think of something that's more friendly, like a friendly, motherly kangaroo, suddenly I just find myself just giving more compassion towards everyone around me. So in my case, I choose
So
an
wait.
avatar that helps
You
shape my mind when I'm not focused.
you figured out friendliness and kindness as the ultimate way to be by yourself. That's so beautiful. That's so great. Thank you so much for sharing.
Why, thank you. It
Uh,
wasn't easy, but I got there.
awesome. You had something
Well,
more you were
also,
saying?
if I might also add to that, um, yes, I was just thinking how I was getting angry, things in the news, corporate evil, and things like that in daily life, and I thought, well, I need a good mentor, good role model. And I was trying to think of fun characters in fiction where I'm really good with this sort, and I thought of, well, there's Gomez Adams from the Adams Family. When he deals with like bad people or evil or stuff, he just grins and he says, "Rawr, dirty pool, old man." And he just has a very cheerful way of treating life as a game, just having a good time, living his life to his fullest every time. And no matter what happens, I thought, okay, that's what I've got to do. I've got to start treating life that way. I can't take things personally. I just have to enjoy life as I can and just channel that boundless friend.
I love that you just pointed out the power of storytelling and that role models and characters can be so helpful. And I'm inspired that you are a storyteller, and I hope you continue to craft and tell stories that have awesome impacts on others.
A lot of fun. It never gets old.
I do want to remember I said I'm a stickler for the truth. A part of me wants to ride the wave that you were just sharing with us all, of friendliness and outgoingness, and how when we are relating kindly and friendly and fun, then that's just how we relate. And because we relate to people, most people relate to people every day, then that just you've brought out kindness and friendliness and fun into your life. That's awesome. Um, but I also wanted to respond to this idea of equanimity. Um, that if you wanted to, I could show you some meditations on deep, deep peace and expansive stillness. That whatever's going on, your stillness is bigger than that. And if you practice that, you can be this patience and stillness. Um, definitely achievable. Maybe the idea of peace that you had was okay, but there was probably ways of considering peace that are more powerful. Or maybe it's just about meditating it so that you can internalize it more effectively. I'm not sure I'm necessarily advocating for it, because you've just said being the friendly, kind, motherly kangaroo is more awesome. That sounds true. So all power to you. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify that meditations like the lake meditation or certain kinds of concentrated breathing meditation can make amazing peace. Oh, and you said you were getting in there, but then how to translate it out into your life. The rehearsing, like, oh yeah, you already knew that. So yeah, I guess seeing a character, maybe more if you hung out with some Buddhist monks for a while, or you saw some people who were just pure peace in different situations. Maybe that would give you a way of envisaging what that way of being would be like. But yeah, I love that you've brought up that, like, what we practice and the way we are, the roles that we play. There's so many different ways of being, and so many different ways that can be awesome, whether it's peace or overflowing kindness or laughing lots, or there's so many ways that of being that is good for us and good for others. Thank you. And I hope as you keep attending here, you'll feel that greater peace permeating through to everybody. And I hope your overflowing kindness and caring flows from you into all of us. So I'm really glad you're here. Oh, a whole bunch of stuff on the live chat. So Hello Merck's got a question. How do you deal with imposter syndrome, especially in the subject of self-growth and self-transformation? Especially if you are doing the fake it till you make it method. Deal with imposter syndrome every now and then, but it can get bad at times. All right, that's a wonderful question. I was thinking about this exact question this week, in that sometimes people will do an affirmation of like, I am confident. And then they'll fake it till they make it. But actually, what I want us to think of is, hey, I'm training myself. So I would like to become the person that is confident. And so I'm going to spend a bit of time to train what it would be like to be confident. And so while you're meditating on that, while you're imagining it, it's not even about what am I now and I'm trying to convince myself that I'm confident. You just put yourself aside for a second and it's like, oh, let me just explore what that would be like. Let me imagine being that kind of person. Let me feel that kind of person. Let me role play that kind of person. And we know that if you spend time role playing something, if you spend time feeling into it, you spend time meditating on it, it transforms you. But there shouldn't even be any question of like, oh, am I that? It's just fully embracing that what we train is what we become. Fully accept who you are now, well, a few seconds ago, that is who you were. All the causes and conditions, all the circumstances you've had, all the trainings you had, that led you up to being that person a few seconds ago. And who you are right now, it's some traces of that and what you choose to focus on and feel right now. So just keep internalizing that. I'm aware that I'm training myself. I'm a work in process. I'm a work in progress. But I also know that when I put my attention on beautiful things or uplifting things or inspiring things, I'm able to change my state. I'm able to become kinder and overflowing joy and care. I'm able. Helen Merck, I know you've done a bunch of amazing things. You've shared with us ways you've transformed or ways you've reflected on your consciousness that are more profound than many people ever get to experience. Deeru, I'm talking to the camera if you're wondering where I'm looking at. Helen Merck's out on the live stream. So yeah, there's history's full of people that were saints and deified as amazing, who would say, hey, I'm just a random dude and I have the same flaws as everybody else. And they also did amazing things. So, just keep practicing and being good and wonderful in whichever ways you can. And perhaps when you see the things that you're judging about yourself, the things where you feel imposter syndrome, maybe just consider a different perspective. Like, oh, how lucky am I that I'm aware of that? All right, what can I do to help that part of me or to train that part of me? I love a follow-up question or some response. To summarize, just focus on that you're training, you're cultivating. You accept the past completely because it's what was there. And now, what do I become now? What do I become next? French horn, welcome. We did a meditation on awesomeness, rehearsing being your best self. And then we've been just discussing it for a little bit. We're going to discuss a little bit more, and then we're going to have our closing meditation. Archelius?
So, if I may just have a little note from my own take on the whole imposter syndrome thing, or emanations of it, right? My own personal way of looking at it was, if you've just to keep the terminology going, faked it till you maked it, and then you looked at that and went, well, what really am I? Am I this, that, whatever it may be? Do I act this way? Am I a confident person? Do I actually like doing mechanical things, or would I rather be a paper pusher, right? But all those questions are kind of looping in a self-answering way, where if you look at yourself and you say, okay, imposter syndrome, yada yada, everything is fake, I have no idea who I am, and you look at yourself and go, I don't know who I am because everything about me is fake. It's actually kind of ironic that, at least in my case, I found that the answer was, if I can remove everything about me and say that none of it is real, it can only mean that all of it is real, because if it's all fake but I'm still here, then something's real, right? So I was just kind of able to take that mentality and lean into the fact that without all these things that I thought were fake about me, I wouldn't be anybody. So that must be who I am. Just a perspective.
We're in a Buddhist temple, so what you just said reminded me of something that people strive to comprehend in Buddhism. There's this idea of no self. Like, everything about us can change anytime. It's all happened from causes and conditions. There's no fixed self. Like you said, they're all fake. Like, you could meditate on happiness for a month and you'd be a happier person. You could meditate on anger for a month, you'd be an angrier person. In fact, I really encourage everybody to pick something you want to change and try meditating on it 3 times a day for a month, and like massively feel into your new self repeatedly and awesomely, and just look how wildly that part of you changes. And you can, at the end of that, you're like, hey, I actually feel like now I'm this thing that I've been practicing. And the old thing is like, it's over there. It's like, how can something that felt real about me have transformed so much? And having that experiencing, I'm just describing what you said in a different way. The way I had it, which was when you just really see that you've transformed something. It's something that you thought was you, but actually now I'm a different way. It can liberate you that all the things that you think are you, what is really you? You could be whatever you choose to keep practicing. And so actually letting go of all of that stuff, and just thinking, hey, the real me is just the potential, whatever I choose to practice, whatever I choose to put my attention on. I mean, different people will think the real you is different. Some people think the real you is some enlightened inner goodness. Some people like to think the real you is a neural net that can be trained. Some people like to think, well, the real you is an animal that has to survive and has family and friends to care about. I don't want to put words into your mouth like what you think the real you is, but liberating yourself from any of the old beliefs and freeing yourself up to know that you can practice and transform is a powerful state to be. Archelius, that was awesome. Thanks for sharing. I don't know if you had heard about the Buddhist concept of no self. But yeah,
I'm very uninitiated.
a lot of the things you've said today is the same kind of thing that an enlightened master would say, just in slightly different words. So, go you. So Hello Merc followed
Thank
up
you
with,
very much.
I just always worry that I'm imagining everything and it's not actually happening. I could see something in front. You guys still with me? Oh, I accidentally turned my headset off. So, just always worried that I'm imagining everything. It's not actually happening. I could see something in front of me that's undeniable and still think it's fake if it's by me. Well, thanks for sharing that. I would really suggest that I'm sure there's a part of you who knows that that's it's undeniably true. And so this idea that you have is like, I couldn't have done that. This feeling of imposter syndrome that you've been practicing, that is false. It's not accurate. There are good things you've done, undeniably. And so I encourage you to think of practicing the antidote to that. So I'm able to acknowledge the good things I've done. I'm able to appreciate the positive things I've cultivated. I'm able to value the work that I've put into myself. Actually, here's a question for you. If someone else was cultivating themselves, improving, or doing good, how would you want them to feel about themselves? If they do some good, do you want them to be able to just realistically be like, yeah, that was good? Or do you want them to be like, oh, no, I couldn't have done that? I hope the answer is obvious, that you'd hope other people would have a realistic sense of appreciating and valuing the good that they do. And you deserve to treat yourself just as well as that. So I'm going to say again what I suggested is that you craft some kind of new behavior. I can appreciate the good that I've cultivated. I do good in the world. I can believe in myself to encourage other people to believe in themselves. Imagine like the opposite of the imposter syndrome. Still make it realistic. We don't want to be like delusionally positive. I don't want you to think that like you're whatever. But yeah, make it as realistically awesome as you can. I hope that you spread people feeling gratitude and strength to themselves when they've done positive things. And I hope every time you see something good you've done and feel that realistically, that it makes you stronger and you believe in yourself more, so you're able to cultivate more positivity because your subconscious knows you've done it before and you can do it some more. Can you say in the chat if you can imagine some kind of affirmation around appreciating the good you've done, or believing in yourself, or something along that lines? And while we wait to hear back from Hello Merc, I hope you all saw that. We saw some issue that somebody shared, and I suggested coming up with the antidote. So, when we are stuck in a certain way of being, our mind's kind of practicing stuff around that. Oh, I want to make it better. I want this problem to go away. But if you say, hey, brain, I'm going to come up with the antidote for that, what would I actually want to be like? You're stepping out of that problem and then letting yourself imagine a really great way of being. And if you let yourself imagine what that would be like, imagine what it would feel like, imagine the attitudes that would go with that. Sometimes you're just like, oh yeah, that is just so more real and it feels so much better, that sometimes that's enough to just change yourself, because you see things through a new lens, and that lens is obviously better. It feels stronger, it feels more right. And then sometimes you're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, but realistically I'm still like this. And that's okay. You just give that positive idea, that positive practice, some time every day. And whatever we keep rehearsing, whatever we keep telling ourselves, whatever we keep feeling, that's what we're going to get more of. And this doesn't just have to be like how I kick a soccer ball or how confident I am. It can also be brain programs about brain programs, meditations about meditation. You can be telling yourself, I'm confident in my ability to self-transform. I'm confident in my ability to do good. You can tell yourself infrastructure type brain programs like, I'm able to concentrate in meditation, and I set up the inner thoughts and feelings and attitude that help me get better and better at that. I'm reminded of that famous motif in literature, some fictional world where they're living on the back of a turtle, and then someone said, hey, what's the turtle on? And they're like, oh, it's on another turtle. And then someone said, it's turtles all the way down. And I like to think of brain programs or meditations like that. You can program yourself about what are your attitudes like, and you can program yourself about how fast you can program yourself, and you can program yourself about how powerfully you can imagine that. And it's not just about meditation or self-transformation. You can also program yourself about how you deal with people in social situations. How deep is your resilience? Diru, you had a comment or a question?
Yes, I wanted to ask you, how do you train yourself whenever you find yourself distracted during meditation? Like your thoughts start wandering away, and oh, I'm mindful again, and you bring your focus back to the back to your point. What do you do? Do you like smile to yourself or congratulate yourself, or do you try to be more happy that you came back to your focus again, or what's your technique?
It's a great question. It depends on the kind of meditation. So if I'm doing a laughter meditation, I just want to laugh some more. Or if I'm doing a compassion meditation, I want to just remind myself, hey, right now I'm thinking about the people I care about, and just go back into that theme. But I think mostly you're asking about the concentration kind of meditation. Yeah. So the actual technique that I do is I'm focusing on my breath, the single point, and I want to just come back into feeling it and hearing it straight away. That's the only thing I'm trying to do. It's just, this is what it's like to breathe again. Now, my subconscious is having a little celebration that I noticed and that I learned how to concentrate better. And it also has this feeling of just let go of that other thing completely come onto the breath. But I don't even want to be thinking about that. All I want my thoughts and attention to be doing is single point of breathing. single point of breathing, single point of breathing. As much as possible, my mind wanders, come back as completely as I can, as fast as I can. That's the practice I found that gets the most benefit. And yes, we should feel good when we meditate. Well, some people will technically say, actually, you want to be just feeling the stillness, like you're letting go of all feelings. And yeah, when you get to that point, wonderful, because it feels good in a way that's deeper than just regular emotions. But before you get to that point of like the
I might have. I was actually asking how you deal with the annoying things that would normally make people unhappy. Like, oh no, I was just distracted. It took me forever to get back to this point. I was just wondering how you dealt with that negativity.
Yeah, great question. So back to my original answer, which is just come to the breath and feel and hear the breath. That's ultimately all I want you to do. If you start thinking, oh, but, you notice that, and come to the breath. You want every part of you just come into the breath. That is the goal. And if that sounds like too simple an answer, I'd still encourage you to try it. If you notice yourself judging, what happened, just as soon as you can, just let go of all that and just breathe. Just breathe. I'm going to tell you some other attitudes that might help with it. But ultimately, I want you to be able to just keep narrowing your focus in onto feeling and enjoying and hearing the breath. This isn't just about when you're judging yourself. You might also be like, yeah, my meditation's doing great right now. Whew. And when you let go of that and just breathe, just feel and hear the breath. So that is all you're aiming to do in the single-pointed breathing meditation. So that is the ultimate answer I'd like to emphasize. Now, to answer maybe what you are wanting to hear, if you're like frustrated or you're judging yourself, or other people will say other things, I'm not good enough for meditation, blah, blah. I actually really don't want to say those different ideas because I don't really want to put those ideas out there. But if you find yourself having something like that, then yeah, I want to say again, just try to breathe, feel the breath and hear the breath. That's really what you want to be doing in the meditation. But I'm going to say this to you now, to think about now. I hope in the meditation you'll be able to just go into the breath. But you could think about it like it's a training. Most people, almost everyone, is not able to do single-pointed holding attention for a long time. So you're learning how to do it. If we were practicing doing standing on one foot, many people when they first start doing yoga or some balancing thing will wobble a lot or even fall over. And the idea then is like jump up and try again. Keep doing that until your legs are so tired that you need to have a break. And so you could think about meditation in a similar kind of way. Hey, I'm learning to balance in this single point. My mind wobbles, I'm just going to keep going. And the idea of, I took a long time to get balanced, that's just a distraction. That's just another wobble. So I'm just going to keep practicing my balance. Another helpful idea, and same, I don't want you to be thinking about this in the meditation. I'd hope you just be trying to feel the breath, just trying to hear the breath. But an idea I could give you now is if you think of it as I'm training myself in concentration. And so while I'm doing the practice, I'm just really setting my attention. I'm training myself to feel and hear the breath. This is what I'm doing right now. It's just training that. And if I want to evaluate my practice, I can do that later. Right now, it's training time. In general, I actually think evaluating our practice is never really useful. Even if you sit for a while and your mind does lots of other things, most people still find afterwards they're like, wow, I actually noticed that helped me a lot. So evaluating is kind of a waste of time.
I'm definitely going to do that. I'm going to, you see, I'm listening to and feeling my breath. That sounds like a wonderful idea. Thank you, Jax.
You're welcome. Dark Hyper, I saw your hand up, but there was some comments in the chat that I just want to read first. So Hello Merc was saying before about the feeling of imposter syndrome. So they can imagine a positive affirmation for believing themselves, being able to appreciate positive change and being able to acknowledge the positive good they do. I think the most hard part is that I follow some form of shamanism teaching, and the only teachers I have are books and a few things I was told growing. So I don't have the guidelines. Well, Hello Merc, you come here a lot. I hope that you also treat some of the awesome stuff you experience here as a positive role model or guideline, a way of seeing yourself doing good in the world. Deru, I love that you mentioned Gomez Adams. I completely wasn't thinking of them at the start of the class, and just the way you just saw the good in him is beautiful. So, Hello Merc, maybe try and imagine some role models or some ways of being that aren't just the shamanism practice you have, but just find kinds of awesome in all kinds of places and internalize all of that. And Sonia says, thanks everyone, you've all been inspiring. Hope to see you soon, Sonia. We love you. Oh, and I've seen the time. So, Dark Hyper, we're gonna chat about whatever you wanted to say, and then we're gonna do our closing meditation. All right, so let's hear it.
I actually didn't have my hand up, but I do want to mention when you're talking about the analogy about the standing on one leg, it's also important what I'm realizing, which I have realized over and over, is that one day you'll say and you'll balance really good, and then the next day you'll just be terrible, even maybe worse than the first day you started. And then you go, man, that sucked. Or man, maybe I did really good that day. And I've been trying to, what you said, evaluating your practice. So when one day I don't concentrate well, it's so hard for me to go, well, that was just okay. I always have to go, man, that was bad, or that wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't satisfied or something like that. So that's what I've been working on, especially with the Zen stuff. I'm not thinking about or evaluating anything.
So, what would it be like? You sat, you meditated, it was one of those days where your mind's done a bunch of other stuff. And what do you imagine a really nice response would be afterwards?
You mean like what I would think to myself?
Yeah.
I would say I was relaxed. I would say I was able to catch all my thoughts. And I was in this state that, even like you just mentioned before, that maybe we should also let go of as well. Because then if I'm calm like this and I do a bad meditation, then, I got attached to that state of calmness that I got on a good meditation, quote unquote good. And then so that's when I get upset, and then that's when I catch myself, but then it happens again and over. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever such a thing as a bad meditation. Well, particularly in the schools of practice that you're doing. So yeah, the meditations where you're not as still, they're still having a wonderful and positive impact on you. And on those days where your meditation is having more other thoughts, or like your mind's doing other things, how much do you appreciate it that you did the practice?
I always appreciate it, though I always catch myself looking at a time. I always catch myself looking at the start and the end of the time, which today when I sat, I was like, I'm not going to look at the time, but I looked at it subconsciously. And then I got up and I was like, oh, that was 27 minutes. But then now I already put a number to it. And then the one day, a few days ago, I sat for 40 minutes. and then I felt terrible after. I was like, man, that was a bad meditation, right? So that's what I've been working on right now. It's just not judging practice.
I encourage you to try and find sentences. So instead of "I'm not going to look at the time" and "not going to judge," try and phrase it without the
Yeah.
word "not." So I'm going to be in the present moment,
Right. Yeah.
and I'm going to appreciate whatever happens and know that it's steps in the right direction. Something like that. And if you notice yourself ever saying,
Yeah.
"I'm not going to do this," or like, whenever we say "not," we still have that other idea in our head. So give the positive
Yeah.
idea the time and the attention it needs.
Yeah. It's the Diamond Sutra, right? So I've been trying to say, if this happens, then this doesn't happen, or if this happens, this happens. If this doesn't happen, this doesn't happen. Trying to change my language as well. But yeah, the quote unquote bad or quote unquote good. That's what I'm trying to not get frustrated over.
All right, I noticed I have 10 minutes before I have to jump. So I hope that this closing meditation will also give some good answer to your question. Is everybody ready for our closing meditation? Anybody ready? I get a thumbs up. I get a cheer. Excellent. All right, let's do it. All right, so we had quite a lot of talk about concentration. So I think we're going to finish with some concentration meditation, and I'm going to throw in a bit of equanimity and a little bit of love and compassion. So let's start by checking in with our body. I mean, if we had longer, we'd spend a whole bunch of time to do a body scan. So you can just imagine you're doing a really powerful long body scan. So your feet are either firmly flat on the ground or your legs are crossed and you're sitting nicely. Your spine's beautifully aligned. Your shoulders are great. There's like this dignified, powerful, calm posture across your whole body. You take a deep breath and let your whole body feel like it's deep in meditation. And you feel your neck and you feel your head and you feel your face. And then you feel your nose. And as your attention comes into your nose, you can just tell the rest of your body that for now, it could just disappear. All that matters right now is your nose. And just feeling the breath coming in and out. And let's start by catching our attention. So what is it in the breath that's amazing, that's fascinating? Yes, there's the steps towards enlightenment. Yes, there's the peace that will bring us. Yes, there's the awareness of every moment. But let's just look just at the breath for now. So you can feel the breath coming in, you can hear it coming in, and you can feel it and hear it going out. And as you look more closely, let this simple act really be magnified in your mind. So you're feeling this spot inside the nose, and you're hearing how the sound changes. Like it starts quiet and then it gets louder, and then it quietens down and it stops, and as it changes directions, it gets louder. But maybe you could also make the sound of each breath sound more soothing. And just by listening really carefully, you can change the tone of your breath, which changes the tone of your mind. And look at where your mind is. Is it still in that single point inside the nose, or did it expand out to feel your face and your shoulders, or did it go somewhere else? So we want to keep the place that our mind is there in the nose. So get in that little spot and concentrate it down into this little spot. Like all that exists is just inside this nostril. Like you're sitting here in this little cave, meditating. It's also really interesting as you notice how the feelings change. Like breathing in is cooler than breathing out. Feel that. And if you look closely at the feelings, feel the sensation as the air's going in. You can feel the hair nostrils being pulled in and then pushed out. Maybe you can even notice the turbulence as the air's rolling in little eddy currents up through the nostril. And look at your sense of time. Like there is quadrillion moments on each in-breath. How many of those little moments are you being fully present with? And then check in with how you feel or your intention. Is each moment of the awareness, does it feel easy and enlightening and beautiful? And so imagine if everything else disappeared, even your thoughts disappeared, and you're just resting in the breath and enjoying, observing your consciousness, enjoying watching how you hold your attention in the breath. Just this simple act of breathing, so captivating, so enlightening, so beautiful. Each moment coming more fully into the breath. Watch how you can make your attention more completely immerse in the breath. What would it be like if for just a few minutes you went into another universe where the world didn't exist, your body didn't exist, your thoughts didn't exist? If the only thing that existed was your breath, what would it be like? How fascinating, soothing, or beautiful would your breath be? How completely captivating. And I invite you to stay in that meditation and just let these positive ideas just flow through you. I hope that the goodness that we cultivated today will blossom massively more than you can even imagine yet. You'll stay connected with the most awesome version of you. You will be how you were meant to be and help make the universe how it's meant to be. That your concentration meditations, that you craft them to be beautiful. You're kind and loving and enlightening every step of the way. And the goodness that you cultivated now, you carry it through your day and keep giving yourself that gift every day, in every way. And that spreads to others in kind, caring, beautiful joy. So I'm going to go, and those on the live stream, thank you so much. And those of you still in the temple, I invite you to just continue the breathing meditation for as long as you like. And then when you're ready, you can bow to the enlightened being, go up onto the hill far enough away, and you can have some social time with whoever wants to come out. And I encourage you to practice not just right speech, but enlightening speech. Share the best of what you learned today. Bring the best out of each other. So let's just come back into the breath, watching our consciousness. All we have in every moment is our consciousness and our attention. We're giving ourselves this beautiful gift. Just observing our consciousness. Observing the breath. The breath is this fascinating anchor. So we let everything else rest, and we practice being as mindful and as conscious as possible.